Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
This is a very special interview for me because you've been hearing me do commercials about the Pacifica's Senior Living Forest Trace. And I remember this, of course, as Forest Trace without the Pacifica because my mother lived there for 3.5 years. It was the happiest 3.5 years. She lived in Miami Beach, and then she and her friends decided to go there, and my mother loved it. Her first thing was, I don't want to cook anymore. And she didn't have to when she went there because the food was great. She always got upset with me because I didn't come every night. She wanted me to come there. Every time I'd come there, she'd say, oh, the food's so good. So this is an interview with the sales director and also the executive director of Pacifica Senior Living Forest Trace. And the sales director is Michelle SLAGEL, and I've known her for a long time. She still has her smile. She still loves it. But I did not know CAMPBELL EPES before, and he's the executive director. He's the guy that makes all the decisions for the benefit of the residents. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I'm very excited about something that's coming up. Instead of my reading about it, Michelle, why don't you read about what's happening? It's coming up, and it's coming up on, let's see, I have it all here. It's Thursday, February the 15th. It's Valentine's Day, isn't it? Oh, the day before.
After.
Sorry, a day after. Sorry.
Right.
Okay, so tell us what's happening.
Yeah, we're very, very excited. So we're having our grand reopening of our clubhouse, state-of-the-art clubhouse. And that evening, we will be having hors d'oeuvres, refreshments, meaning cocktails, live entertainment by the band The Fabulons, and we're also going to have some surprise appearances, but we'll need you to come so that you know who those surprise appearances will be.
Oh, that's right. I saw that, and I thought, oh, well, maybe Superman or somebody like that, right?
And we're glad you're coming, ANITA.
Oh, I will be there. I'm trying to drag some friends also because I think it's really important. So let's just talk about, and I'd like Campbell to tell us this because we were talking a little bit before. What makes this property so exceptional, Campbell?
I think probably, thank you very much for having us here today. This is very much a pleasure. I think Pacifica Senior Living Forest Trace is very unique because of the actual situation of the property. We're the only property in Broward County that actually sits on 72 acres, wooded acres. It's actually a natural preserve for the cypress pines in the area, which are protected at this point in time. The property is situated among them. So once you drive onto the community, through the gated guardhouse, you go through about a half a mile, drive up to the main building where you're kind of winding through the roads, and it kind of reminds you of the old Poconos of days gone by and the beautifulness of the woods, and then just the view over the 30-acre lake. And I think probably the thing that makes it most special is the warm and inviting residents that we seem to attract to the community at this time.
Yeah, well, and what you don't know is I'm about to put you on Facebook Live. So I'm going to get you to keep talking because that's what I'm working on right now. I didn't know I was going to do that, but I am going to do that. But let's talk about, and when I remember going there, it was Inverary. I guess it's still Inverary, isn't it?
It is still Inverary, very much so.
And what I loved was you drove there and you didn't see any homes in this area, right, where the property is. I said, oh, my goodness, did they forget to plant homes? What is that? And it turned out to be this gorgeous piece of property and I can mention the Grosingers because they're the ones that first started this because that's what I loved. But the thing that made it important, and I did talk about the food, I hope their food is as good as it was when I was there. How about Michelle?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I have the pleasure and enjoy dining in our dining room, which is restaurant-style dining. Not only is the dining room beautiful, but the menu is very appealing, delicious food.
Well, okay. So now, the reason you're having this reopening is why?
Because we have done a state-of-the-art clubhouse. Our clubhouse was always beautiful, but it was time to create what we and Pacifica Senior Living is known for.
If I may weigh in,
please.
The
I
clubhouse,
want you to just come in.
The clubhouse is one of our main centers of the community life. It contains our theater, and it had gotten to the point where it was showing its age. There's no doubt about that. So Pacifica's come in. It was a complete remodel, complete gut. We have created a whole brand new theater, lighting, soundstage episodes in there, comfortable theater-style seating in the theater. We've created a new bar room, atmosphere, game room, large TVs. We've revamped the senior-friendly gym with its lifestyle exercise equipment out there. We did maintain the use of the steam rooms and the saunas, which are out there, and it is bordered by our Olympic-sized pool on the outside. We had to do some mundane things like replace the whole roof on it and clean up a few other aspects, but I think people, when they walk in, they'll be delightfully surprised by what we've done, even relocating the salon out from the clubhouse to the inside the community, which allowed us to build a computer room for our seniors with a library for doing research and things of that nature. So it's going to be a complete remodel, and I think people will be totally amazed when they walk in and see it.
So I want to ask you, though, Michelle, because you knew when my mother was there, how have seniors changed from that time? Have they?
I go back in time. If you watch a movie, so if you watch a movie from years and years ago, life was still life then as it is now. I mean, things have changed, but we as human beings, I think a lot has still remained. And I think what we're finding now is that the generations, you don't have to wait until you're in your upper 80s and 90s to make these moves, that we've become and learned a lot about conveniences and making life much easier. And being socially connected is so highly important. So we're finding that people now recognizing in their 70s to start to think about making these moves.
Right. And the other thing, though, that I remember is you also put in assisted living. So someone starts there. Now, this is rental. It's very important that people know that, right?
Correct. Yes, it's rental. And if I can add on about our assisted living, what is so important is that the apartments are the same size as they are in independent living. So we're able to attract couples in assisted living, or a resident themselves who just feels that their home should still remain the same size that they've been accustomed to, that it isn't somebody else's thought to create a 400 square foot room and that's what they should live in. Ours is about really feeling and maintaining one's home.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I remember when, my mother was in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I mean, that was incredible, right? She didn't need 2 bedrooms, but she wanted them because she came from something else, right? You had the 2-bedroom, 2-bath.
That's correct.
And then, it's interesting, after 3.5 years, my mother really decided she wanted to be closer to us, and we moved her to an apartment. We got a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and furnished it exactly, because by this time she had some dementia, exactly, and she never knew that she left. But my mother also played the piano there. I remember that you have the piano, and people take turns playing the piano. And
baby grand is still sitting right in the center of the lobby, playing music on a daily basis, no doubt. I mean, one of our signature programming at Pacifica Forest Trace is our activity program, or what we call it our entertainment programming or our social programming. We still keep a full array of evening entertainers. We probably have, I think on the January month that just ended, had approximately 29 outside entertainment performances that came into the community over the course. So we still kind of cling to those old days of the Catskills where you had the entertainers coming in, you had that family feeling vibe at the community, and we still try to keep that life going on within the community. And kind of weighing back to your earlier question, have we really seen the seniors change? Circumstances do change with the seniors these days with the economy, but we're still have that senior who's still coming in looking for that social programming, that social integration, someone who wants to be a joiner and an enjoyer at our property, and that's what they're looking for. And I think that's what we've always traditionally attracted, whether it's through our activities, social programming, through the restaurant-style dining that we do. It's just kind of like an ongoing sort of vacation. And I think, and the people who want that type of lifestyle, who want to have meals with people, play their card games, be social, that I haven't seen change in the caliber of clients that are coming in.
I'm glad you said that, because when you think of it, rentals have gotten expensive on the outside. I mean, if you go to an apartment building and condominiums, and I dare say for what you charge. Some people are paying that without the meals, without anything else, they go to their apartment and they're in there. It's not like what you have. And I do urge people to come to see this. And I hope we need to give the, I don't know if we did that, but let's give the phone number right now. If you want to RSVP, it's 954-572-2100. You must RSVP because, there will be a lot of people there, and you want to make sure that they don't close the door on you. So let's RSVP 954-572-2100, extension 223. Again, I'm going to do this slowly. Remember, this is Pencil Talk Radio. 954-572-2100, extension 223. Now, they are located at 5500 Northwest 60th Avenue in Lauderhill. And write this down, put this in your calendar, Thursday, February the 15th, one day after Valentine's Day. And it's going to be from 4 to 8 p.m. And it is called Pacifica now. That's something a little different than I remember. It was Forest Trace, but now it's Pacifica Senior Living Forest Trace. So, Michelle, do they have other places here in South Florida?
Yes, we do. Actually, in Palm Beach, we have our memory care community. And then we are in Fort Myers with a memory care. We have eight properties here in Florida, up in Jacksonville, Tallahassee.
And so Pacifica, is that because the company's out in
San Diego, California.
Oh.
Nationwide, they own and operate just a little bit over 70 properties.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. So that's good. And the thing that appeals to me is that both of you have just stuck around. They must be doing something right? Because you were there with the Forest Race.
Very much so. And it's kind of funny, people think things change, and to me, the more they stay the same there on a daily basis. Very little really has changed over the last 3 years. Pacifica is certainly focused on a lot of capitalization improvements in the property. Over the past 3 years, we've renovated all of the resident floors, corridors, new artwork, new carpeting, painting, replaced the elevator systems in both towers. We're getting ready to complete the grand opening of the clubhouse, as we're discussing here today. In April, we'll start construction on the first floor common areas to expand out the card room, where we do our signature happy hour every day. So we're going to turn that into a kind of a fixed card room and fixed style bar. So it's going to be a real proper room for what its intended purposes are. And then we'll be doing a common area renovation in the assisted living. So we're kind of under construction for a little bit, for another year, but it's all for the better.
So, Michelle, what can you add to this?
Oh, I'd love to add. Thank you. I'm excited for when you come to visit that night.
I'm coming.
Because we're going to have you see a lot of the staff who's going to recognize you and remember you.
Yeah.
One of the wonderful things that Pacifica did when they purchased us on December 4th of 2014, they maintained the longevity at Pacifica Forest Trace. So Leo, Edgar, Kennedy, Dale, Marie, we're going on
Smart.
20 plus years of working.
Yeah, because the residents, they want to see stability. And they were smart in keeping you. Well, they wouldn't have been there that long if you were bad. But the fact you wanted to stay, they must be a good company or you wouldn't have stayed. And so that's really important.
Yes.
So let's talk about if someone's there. Transportation is always a very big issue with the older population. Tell us how you help people get around.
Oh, absolutely. We base our transportation on an individual who doesn't drive, and it's certainly a bonus for one who does. So we do take our residents to doctors in a 5-mile radius 4 days a week. We go to the grocery store a couple of times a week. Malls. We actually come up to Boca Town Center Mall, go to the Festival Flea Market. We go to casinos, out to restaurants, out to movies, performing arts. It's all the post office, all the places that one would need to go if they did have a car.
Right. And the other thing that sticks in my mind is that when my mother started needing medication reminders, you had that. So here she's a resident, but she would go down and then she would get her medication there. So she always took it. I didn't have to worry about that with her.
So what we created, and Campbell actually helped further along the program, is independent lifestyle services. So that one could remain in independent living, make it very affordable to stay in independent living with the add-on services and tailored packages to the individual.
they get the supportive care services that they need without having to leave the independent living section of the community, and it doesn't have some of the same restriction that goes in place that where when we're operating under the license structure of the assisted living side of the property.
I like that.
So they get greater flexibility.
Oh, that's great.
And the service is priced just slightly under it so that we actually encourage people to stay independently as long as possible.
That's wonderful. So now let's talk about, here I'm sitting with my dog in the radio studio. You said that you allow pets. Now that must be new. That you didn't allow pets years ago, I don't think.
I think this started back about 6 years ago. That was changed, thank goodness. Because we all recognize that our pets, I have pets, Campbell has pets, they're a part of our family.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people that won't go to a place because they're not going to leave their pets.
Absolutely not.
Right. And I'll tell you, when we did have that policy in place, not allowing pets, I would recommend people to move elsewhere, because to ask one to give up their pet is just the wrong thing. So we never have to do that anymore.
You said something that was interesting. You do have couples there, don't you?
Plenty of. Mm-hmm.
That makes sense for them, doesn't it? Because sometimes one of the partners is not as able to do everything, and yet the other person is out there now and they can't do anything. But here they get to do everything. Why don't you think of a couple there who really, don't name them, but just think of a couple and the way that they live, and that is really fascinating. So you can share that.
You know, what I often witnessed over all these years is that the husband retires and the wife continues to work. The wife continues to maintain the home, still responsible for the cooking and the cleaning. And if, though, the spouse, the wife, though, does need some help, then the husband finds himself now cooking and cleaning and things he never did all of his life. So what's a great benefit in a couple moving in is that takes care of those typical activities of daily living that one doesn't want to or really doesn't enjoy anymore. And most importantly for couples is to be able to sit with other couples and dine on a nightly basis. And our dining room is right within the building, so it doesn't matter what the weather's outside. You know, it's just a matter of locking your door, coming downstairs, having a couple of drinks, and going in and having dinner. And certainly a show after.
And if I might add, it's always especially more gratifying to find the singles that come in who become couples.
Yes, I've noticed that
Romance
too.
is alive.
It is, and it's a wonderful thing that they do that. Because, and you know what, I'll tell you, I'm glad you brought that up. My mother found a girlfriend because my mother was, when she lived in Miami Beach, she was in her own apartment, and I didn't realize that she missed having some, friends. Maybe they came over and they played mahjong or something, but when she got there, she made a friend, a woman, and they actually held hands. They went places together. She was very happy with that person. And so it's exactly what you're saying. They're experiencing something that we didn't know they even needed.
We just recently had a new resident move in who recognized someone that she had gone to high school with.
Oh,
we see that a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now that's fabulous.
It's a small world.
Yeah, it is. Well, especially here if they stay in that area. So I want to just go over this again because it's really important. What I'm doing now is I have this beautiful couple on Facebook Live, and we'll be able to once we finish this. So let's see. We have somebody. There's Hal Spielman is now just watching the video. I mean, there'll be a lot of people watching this video. It's funny. I don't know if you've ever done Facebook Live.
No, cannot say I have.
No, well, this is something different. And the thing is that here we have a radio show going, but I've started doing this. It's good. Okay, so let's just do this. Pacifica Senior Living Forest Trace cordially invites you to their grand reopening celebration. Hors d'oeuvres, refreshments, live entertainment by the Fabulons, and surprise appearances. I have no idea who the surprise is, but I'm sure it'll be fun. And maybe one of you will come in a costume, right? Okay.
But there will be someone in a costume.
I'll
give you a hint on that one.
Okay. So let's just join them Thursday, February the 15th, 4 to 8 p.m., 4 o'clock to 8 p.m. So even if you're working, you can get there afterwards. And the phone number is 954-572-2100. Extension 223, you'll be able to, I guess that's your number, isn't it, Michelle?
It's a number in our office,
okay,
yes.
So here I got another person. Now we have another person that's just watching. You see, Facebook's interesting. When my name comes up, they see things, and now they start getting into. So I know a couple of these people. They're really good people, too. That's great.
I'd like to comment in terms of the activities of the day on that Thursday. We will be having a official ribbon cutting with the mayor from the city of Lauderhill will be in. Mr. Richard Kaplan will be helping us out. Some of the city commissioners. But the rest of the event will be a 4-hour event from 4 to 8. It's a mix and mingle. People can feel free to come and go as they choose. If they want to arrive at 4, stay a couple hours. They want to come at 5, stay for an hour. It's going to be a mix and mingle. Entertainment will be going on throughout. Food will be available throughout, as well as some signature cocktails.
It's the food. It's always been the food there at Forest Trace. You had the best chefs. It's like Ressinger's was. I mean, the food, my mother would always have such choices of food. I think she started gaining weight because she was eating too much. And I said, Mom, you can't eat all this. But and is it 2 meals? I don't think it was 3 meals, was it?
2 meals a day, breakfast
now it's
and
3.
dinner.
Was it
two.
always two? Right, 2 meals.
But I can add, we do have a personal trainer at our community 4 days a week.
No,
To help.
Now see, that's something new. Mm-hmm. Well, that's really important.
Yeah.
His name is Curtis, and actually has his own TV on Jewish Life. On that one, he's become actually a national phenomenon. And we're the only place that he comes in and does personal training here in the local area. He gets calls from all over the United States. It's a pleasure to have him. He's a great gentleman.
Yeah, and so what are they doing? What kind of training? Are they on bikes, or do they get on bikes in the studio?
It's actually circuit training. It works. There are different pieces of equipment that work each part of the body. And then he also has a couple of cardio classes.
I love this. Yeah. They're going to grow younger rather than older as they live there. So tell me how many apartments total that you have.
We have 321 apartments. 56 are designated as assisted living. Again, same-size apartments.
Yeah, see, that's very unusual that you would do that have assisted living. So tell people that people aren't always sure what assisted living is. Will you explain that, please, Michelle?
Sure. I'd like to add, too, along with the explanation, is that a lot of seniors today have long-term care policies that do cover assisted living and typically require assistance with 2 or more activities of daily living, which would be bathing and dressing. So in our assisted living, we all-inclusive with assistance with dressing and undressing, assistance with showering 3 times a week, and managing the medications, along with doing personal laundry, making the bed on a daily basis. We provide the 3 meals a day, and then we have 24-hour supervision. We can also add in an additional level of care of helping one with escorting or helping manage the sensitive area of incontinent care.
It's great to see. And how many years has the senior center, senior community been there? I don't even remember.
We opened in November of 1989.
Well, I think we're on our 28th year.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? Yeah, it's so I see now why you all have decided to make some things even look newer and upgrade everything that you can. Right. But you still have the same property. Nothing's, that property now is worth so much money. You know that. I mean, it's a gorgeous piece. How many acres did you say it was?
We're on 72 acres in the lake, and the lake of which the lake is 30.
In the heart of Lauderhill. Can you imagine that? And your charges for the apartments don't take that into consideration. They're still just like so many of the other senior communities. But remember, this is a rental. So do they sign a year's agreement?
A year's agreement. But, nowadays, if one needs to relocate, we know that sometimes children move out of state and one wants to follow.
You're flexible on that.
45-day written notice, and one can break the agreement.
See, I really like the rental idea. So many people, go into some of these life cares, and I've always felt that, like, my mother could never have gone there if it were that way. She went there and had such a lovely life for so long, and that's great. So how about the children who come? I know that you used to have an apartment if someone visited, and I don't know what you call that, a rest
our guest suite.
I'll touch on that one. We do bill ourselves as a senior resort, and because of the amenities we have, I mentioned them earlier, the pool, the clubhouse, we have the putting green, tennis courts, and it's not unusual for the children to come down, spend a week or 2 with mom and dad, and actually stay in their apartment. But we've also, in this past year, put in 2 guest apartments, which are fully furnished with Wi-Fi, TV. You have your own pool towels in there, your own coffee maker. We rented at a nominal fee, half of what you'd pay for a hotel in the local area, and we were completely booked up from mid-November through to the end of January on 2 of those apartments. I now have a couple weeks of availability, so if any of the kids are listening, I can squeeze you in near the end of February if you'd like to come down.
Right, you can't go as a hotel. You have to have family living there. Let's be
No,
very
you got
clear.
no. You have to have family living there for sure.
And then they also get to dine there
They
and
get
everything
that.
else.
That comes with their breakfast meal, and they pay for their dinner. On top of that,
And complimentary happy hour.
and complimentary. Yeah, can't forget the happy hour.
Pure gold, absolutely pure gold. I'm so glad that you've done these things. You've made me very, very happy. I can't wait. I have to wait until February the 15th, huh?
I want to add a little piece of mind here for the residents who live at Pacifica Forest Trace. When your mom was living at our community, Anita, we did always have the 24-hour emergency call service available. And what we've implemented in the last several years is a licensed practical nurse responding 24 hours a day in independent living, which is unheard of in the industry.
That's wonderful. Well, we're going to say goodbye to Facebook Live. I'm going to close that off. I just ended it, and then we'll let you see that. But we want to thank you so much for being here, and then you will be on YouTube also.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, and
very
I'll
much,
see
Anita.
you
It's been a
on
pleasure.
I'll see you on the 15th.
This was delightful. Thank
it
you
was
so
great.
much.